Not the best of music choice into that.
What was it? What was he go to?
And I cried for like a week. I'm like, why am I thinking this? It was hard to get through.
I remember you talked to me about this.
He would get super glue spray and spray his hands. What's up, everyone? My name is Dean Wilson. I'm alongside with Tommy Searle and Billy Bolt. We're on episode 4 of Against the Rut podcast. And today we're going to be talking about superstitions, mindsets, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, we'll just get into it. What's the boys up to? How's everyone doing?
Well, boys, cheers, Dean. Tom, back off holiday, mate? You doing some real work or are you still living the dream?
No, I am back off holiday and I've got a big week lined up with coaching, which I enjoy doing. But I haven't actually had much going on, unlike you boys racing and deep in the thick of it with your championships. I've had holiday and my little boy's birthday party. So not a lot of race chat from me, just general life, really. I mean, different for you boys. Like I said, you're mid-championship. So how was it? Dean, I see you had a good one, Bill. What do you want to... We'd probably start, maybe miss
Bill,
that, start on a high.
Weekend, is it?
Nah, I pulled it back. It was looking bleak. So the race I did this weekend, we did a Friday qualifying, which went very well. I was actually exceptional at that. And then Saturday morning qualifying, it wasn't looking good. It was another bad performance. I was battling around outside the top 10 for most of that. But then main event, made a few changes and I sorted my life out a bit and managed to pull it back from an 11th in the quali race to a 3rd in the main race, which, again, not what I wanted. I'd have liked to be more in the mix, but yeah, I've had a bit going on. Got a bit of a sore shoulder and a sore ankle at the minute. So from where the day started to end in 3rd, I was pretty happy. But we had Getting Rodeo last weekend, which is a pretty wild race, one of my favourite races of the year. Tommy's actually one of the few Tommy's actually attended, which was
really good race. Very
good, and they delivered as always.
The year when he won the World Championship.
Yeah, so they did another amazing job. Like, just such a good example of, I think how an event should be run. Like, really, really good. Like I say, it was looking bleak, but I pulled it back and got on the podium. So left the weekend with somewhat of a smile on my face.
Yeah. I had a good weekend, and won again, so I was happy with that. Riding was good. Bit of drama towards the end, or the last race. Of course, last lap of the main had like a 6-second gap. Cruising it in, and I go through the whoops, and then I get to the end of the whoops, and the red cross flag was out. But I was like, it wasn't at the beginning. So then the next section was where the guy was down, rolled the section. And throughout the night, like, we had some yellow flags out, and I rolled everything on a yellow flag when you can actually jump. When you're just unsure. So I rolled anyways. So anyways, I get to the podium, won the race, get to the podium. And then they're like, hey, you skimmed the whoops on a red cross flag. And then another referee comes up and says, yeah, I seen it. I was like, yeah, I skimmed, but the flag wasn't out. But then I'm thinking, did I just not see the flag? There was a wall jump before the whoops. So then I'm like, no. Like, let's review the footage before we make a decision here. But they just made the decision and penalized me, I think 6 spots or something. That was kind of BS. So anyways, we appealed it, got the footage. I kicked off on my Instagram story a bit. And it was clear as day. The flagger didn't have the flag out yet at the beginning of the whoop, so I never seen anything. He was getting ready to get it out. So when second place went through the whoops, he rolled the whoops. So and then we had a hearing in in an office, and we had to do the appeal, and the referee actually called the flagger, and I don't even know why he called him. It was plain as day on the video that the flag wasn't there. He called him, and then the flag was like, yeah, I was just getting ready to put it out, but he never got it. And then the referee was trying to argue with me, like, okay, you were skimming the whoops, but why didn't you just start rolling when you got to the red cross flag midway through? I'm like, mate, I'm going 4th flat out into set whoops. I said, if I chop the throttle and roll, I'll be laying next to the guy that's on the ground. So anyways, all good, turned it around, got my points back, and all was good. So yeah, happy with that, and good weekend.
Yeah, so as I said before, superstitions and mindset episode, from pre-race rituals to lucky gear or any kind of weird and wonderful routines that you do before the race. Personally, I don't actually think I have anything too quirky or too specific. So what about either of you two? Do you have anything you personally like to do? I know Tommy likes to do some star jumps and skipping, but I don't know if that's quite classed as a routine, but he probably... I guess that in some ways you feel ready once you've done that, eh?
I don't know. Dean makes fun of that when I do that.
Tommy's doing a full CrossFit session before
He
he
does it
gets out
every
there.
day, though. It's not even like it's just for a race. He's at a practice track and he's got yoga mat out. Well, not yoga mat, but elastic bands getting pinged about left, right, and centre. And
I'm older than you boys, you got to remember. That's just purely for warming up. Obviously, over the years, I've picked up injuries. So I use all the bands. And it is mad how actually everyone doesn't do that. You never see a runner or football team just roll out Stone Cold Steve Austin to the track. And then we all at motocross just wander down to the start line, or the majority at a British Championship or thingy. And it's almost like frowned upon. If you've got your bicycle in the paddock and you're cycling, people will look at that guy and almost be like, whoa, look at him. So I think it generally needs to change. I think in America, you all have your bikes and stuff. But I use the bands, but it's not really a pre-race ritual. That's more,
in some ways, I feel like you would feel lost if you didn't do that. That's kind of why I said it.
Yeah, a little bit, but mainly that's to stop my little niggles because I try and fire the muscles up beforehand. But pre-race rituals and superstitions and things, I've had so many different ones over the years. It started when I first went back to GPs. I always remember I used to do a lot of visualization. It used to go back to qualifying for a GP because they used to have like top 12 would go through my first ever qualifying. And I'd sit there the night before because my trainer, Kirk, used to say, like, visualise getting a bad start, visualise getting a good start. And I honestly used to spend a lot of time doing the visualisation.
Getting a bad start?
No, he said that, like, visualise coming through with something like, so you get all the sort of situations. Well, it was a long time ago. I might have got that bit a bit mixed up, but I'm sure I visualised different things. But it always went quite well, and I think they say, don't they, visualization. Like both of you must have done that at times. We all sort of do it. Well, I think you do. You see, like road racers, they sit there with their eyes closed, going around the track, and I used to do a lot of that, and I think it helped. Yeah, but there's been loads of things over the years that I've done, but I do think it's almost lacking in our sport from everyone. But then I think everyone has something a little bit different, even if you don't really realise you're doing it because you feel that's best for you. Like, I don't want to get too serious, so I'm not listening to music because I ride better for this reason. And the races where I've really wanted to get like into it, and when I was actually a lot faster and the races were more serious, I would always listen to music. Not the best of music choice. I wouldn't imagine people would sort of think, why are you listening to that?
What was it? What was your go-to?
Nothing. I'm not a big music guy. Like, I can't really tell me a song.
Let me chime in quick. I'll always remember Jamie Dove saying, "You should hear the music he's listening to. It's like he's about to shark his butt or something." It was like The Weeknd or something.
Yeah, I used to listen to The Weeknd. That was my go-to song. So I know that one.
That's funny.
But I actually didn't listen to The Weeknd on the start line, but I wouldn't listen to that much that would get me hyped up. I remember always listening to Eminem, 8 Mile, and that was sort of my go-to one. But I'm not the most into music. Like, I'm not the. If you was to ask me what do I listen to, I get embarrassed to even say because it's not cool or whatever. But I used to listen to music, and I'd done weird things over the years. Like, I'd have to wet my gloves sometimes, like pour water on my hands. Other times I'd be putting talcum powder to dry my hands out. Go through different superstitions over the years. But
I always think
I guess the mind thing.
Tommy. You always do that on the start line. You always do that.
What, this? Shake my hands?
Yeah. You always shake your hands. I always see you doing it. I don't do that.
But that's all I don't know. I guess it's just like we're talking about. Yeah, like you just in the zone, you shake your hands. I shake my shoulders, move my hands. I think as you get older, or what I do, I worry so much about getting injured now that I want to warm every single muscle up. My groin, my ankles, my pre-race ritual routine now is grown, not because I want to get in the zone, because I don't want to get injured again.
It's kind of just checking off the check box, like you get warmed up, then that's a check. Then mentally it's like, that's, put you at ease and stuff like that. But
when I watch you come to like a British Supercross or when we was in Abu Dhabi, you're pretty relaxed. Like sometimes you do zone in and I could see like you're in the zone. You sort of sit there and you're a bit more serious because, I was pretty relaxed at those races purely because I wasn't winning really, where you was there to do your job and win. And I could see you'd zoned in, like you might not be doing anything particularly odd like I do, but you was pretty zoned in all day.
Yeah, I don't have anything too crazy. I always like to kind of just a little bit, maybe like 3 minutes before, like the gate drop, my mechanic hold the bike. I always stretch my groin out. Some squats, get the little, the muscles firing on the legs. I always do that. I always kind of stretch my groin out. That's just something that makes me feel comfortable. And then when it comes to superstitions, I don't really have anything crazy. Like, only superstition I have is I wear red gloves. I wore it my whole professional career, and that's it. I don't put my left knee brace on before my right. Like, I feel like if I'm too locked in on the start line, like, it just doesn't put me in a good frame of mind. I like to just be loose, and I do a lot of breathing on the start, usually like that moment when they tell you to start up your bike into the 30-second board, it's just big into the nose, out through the mouth, just big breaths, just big deep breaths. And it's crazy. You can be really nervous on the start line, but once that car turns sideways and you're looking at the gate, it's gone. I think it's like, it's so weird. All the focus goes on the gate.
Have you ever had any teammates that's been locked in on the old left knee brace, right boot thing? Because I actually haven't. I've never had many teammates in my whole career. That's probably why. But obviously you hear about it where some people are like right glove first, left boot first. To me, that seems pretty odd. And like, if you're locking in that much, I feel like the chances of if it doesn't follow your routine or you kind of break your pattern, I think that's going to have more of a negative effect. But obviously you kind of hear about it quite a bit. So I don't know if either of you has had a teammate that's been like locked in on the old superstitions.
Good.
Max Anstie, he used to be pretty mad.
And I'd also say Zach Osborne was very I think he was pretty superstitious. Remember one thing that he did, this little trick that he did, I tried it, but it was a bit weird. He would get the superglue spray and spray his hands and then put his gloves on. So his hand was glued to the glove. And that was something different that I've never seen before. Because he just, I don't know, just when he sweat or whatever, he'd glue his glove onto his hand. That was a bit interesting.
Tommy does a good Max Anstie impression. Go on, do the voice and everything. You might as well go all in on the character.
With Max? I don't know if I have a Max Anstie voice, but Max was teammates with me when he was really young. So we both went to CLS Kawasaki. We lived in an apartment in Marseille, had no windows. And he was very young. And I think it was the first time he'd really gone away from home alone. He was very strict. And I think his dad was very strict on him, which obviously he's gone on to be very successful. But I remember he had this tape and he listened to it in the mornings, and his dad, I can't remember, must have been 4 a.m. and we had no windows in this place. And anyway, he was getting up and he was doing yoga and stuff at 4 a.m. I'm just like, Max, mate. I was like, we just sleep. Just go to sleep. We're going to get up at 6, 7 and we'll go to the track. And he was like, nah, I'm getting up at 4. I'm going to do yoga. And I'm like, well, can you just go into another room to do it? Because I was trying to sleep. So then in the end, he went into another room that also had no windows, that stunk of petrol because it was in the actual workshop. But he was very strict on what he was doing. And then actually a funny story from that, one of Dean's, Max was so far away then from the toilet that he had to piss in the bottle if he needed one in the night, because otherwise he had to walk all through the workshop. And then one night he would confirm this story. He just drunk his own piss. He was only 16. He'd come in the morning. And he's like, I had a drink last night and I've just drunk my own piss, the whole bottle, done the whole lot. But Max was funny as a teammate, and he's still very strict in what he does now. I think Dean's rode with him, and he's just very meticulous. He has a routine that he sticks to, very, very structured compared to most motocross riders. So transitioning from that to more of what we do throughout the week, race routines, more of what we actually do from week to week, and have it changed since we got a little bit older. Bill, you're getting on a bit. Has yours changed over the years from trials to enduro, or is it all quite similar?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously know a lot more about everything, nutrition, life in general, my own mind and body from when I was riding trials. I can't really think. I definitely know a lot more now, but my sport's a little bit weird in the fact that obviously one weekend we could be getting ready for a 2-hour race, the next weekend we could be getting ready for a 5-day race. It's difficult to have too much of kind of a routine. But mine comes more the day of the race and just knowing that, I really struggle to eat breakfast or to digest foods in the morning, so I try to eat a lot more the day before, more frequently as well, rather than just trying to load on a massive meal on an evening the night before. I try and throughout the day, 2 days up to a race, eat small quite frequently, because race morning I struggle to do just about anything eating or drinking really. And now, when I was younger, I would force myself and it just wouldn't end well whatsoever. But now I know, there's no need force feeding yourself a hard-boiled egg or a plate of scrambled egg on a race morning. If it makes you feel sick, just don't do it. You don't need to do it.
You must burn so many calories racing that long of races.
Yeah, so obviously it's important to drink and consume calories through your hydration pack. Obviously, gels can also be useful. Every rider kind of has their own setup, really. But I like to, as long as make sure I have a carb mix in my drinks pack. But yeah, so ours is a bit weird. I'm trying to think there probably is some other people that I've seen eat or do some strange things. To be fair, I can't quite think of anything off the top of my head.
I know one rider who I remember when we'd always go to the flyaways. I just remember seeing Jeffrey. He always so lean when he goes to the races and he's in his championship. And I just remember seeing him at the buffet in Turkey where it's a flyaway race, and he would just go up and there'd be plate after plate after plate, and he'd probably eat 4 plates of food. I'm not even joking. Like, start off with this huge salad, and I remember just being thinking mad because he's so lean, like when he's in the zone, and the amount he ate the night before was ridiculous. And yeah, Jeffrey used to carb load a lot, and over through the years I've changed a lot as I've got older. I sort of now have a really good routine that I stick to throughout the day. Like Bill, I like to just drink a little bit of water throughout the day, the days before, make sure I'm hydrated. And then my go-to routine on race days, very, very similar. I'm only doing British Championships. Obviously, it's just a one-day event, and I'm pretty much in my camper every single time. So I'm very, the routine can stay very similar, unlike you boys that are going from hotel to hotel. So I literally just have my porridge in the morning with a banana, and then I'll do my qualifying, and then I will have a peanut butter and jam sandwich, really, maybe another banana or like a protein bar. And then I'll do my race, and then after that race, I'll have chicken and rice, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of vegetables, and that is pretty much it. Maybe a dry biscuit. But I struggle drinking energy drinks throughout the day because my stomach's quite sensitive, always has been. So I don't use too many drinks, like sports drinks throughout the day, just pretty much water. And that's it. What about you, Dean?
No, I'm on a bit of a schedule as well. I always like to carb load at night because I just want to sleep well. And if I get just a good meal in me, that's my important thing, is getting a good night's sleep. And if I carb load, I always just sleep good. And obviously it helps me for the next day. So I always like some pasta, maybe a little bit of bread the night before. And as I've gotten older, this wasn't my younger routine, but as yourself, Tommy, we like to enjoy the ride these days. You know what I mean? We like to enjoy the weekends. And so I have a nice couple glasses of red wine the night before my race. Just relaxes me, also helps me sleep, takes the edge off. So I'm a bit of a Pinot Noir guy, couple glasses of red, and then have a good sleep. Wake up, same thing, porridge. Porridge is, I always feel good when I eat porridge. I feel like it's just long-lasting energy. And then, mainly, like, my main thing I eat is chicken, rice, and avocado. That's kind of my, like, for Supercross, I'll have that for lunch, and then I'll have that before the night show. So that's kind of the program. Same thing, hydrating, mostly water. Yeah, drink some mixed drinks as well. Nothing too crazy.
I think it just has to be tailored to what works for you. Because like Bill said, he knows what works for him.
It's also
and you have
to
almost eat something. You have to eat something that you enjoy, because if you're trying to force feed yourself.
Exactly, yeah. You got at the end of the day, you burn calories. Calories need to go in, and the worst thing I feel like you can do is nothing in that situation. Like, obviously, there's some things are better than others, but the worst thing I feel like you could do is nothing, because then it's like your bike's not going to work without petrol, is it? It's not, in my opinion, massively complicated.
No, you do think that, but a lot of people struggle. I've been around younger riders, and they do struggle with it. We've also had a long career, or we're like deep into your career, so you do figure it out. But you're surprised how many people do it where they struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle, because I feel like the people overcomplicate being very precise and weighing this and measuring that, whereas to me, on a race day, you just need to put in whatever your body can digest comfortably.
I tell you what, when I raced, when I was younger and racing the outdoors, like pro circuit days, and I mean, even the 450 a few years ago, I was always really, really good in the hot, brutal races, because my thing was, after the first moto, we only have an hour to the next moto.
Yeah,
and the second moto is, everyone would always blow themselves out the first moto. So after the first moto, I would eat as much as I could and then give myself 40 minutes. And throughout the moto, I got stronger as I went on, and I was really good in the heat for some reason. Everyone would be dropping back, and I'll just keep going forward.
I've got a question, Dee. So I was talking at the weekend to someone, and he said he'd gone out to Texas and rode at the Colin Edwards Ranch. And I said, I bet that was hot. And I said, my mate Dean Wilson once raced in Texas, and he was winning. And on the last lap, he waved his mate through. And you were just saying how good you was in the heat. But I was trying to relay this story, and I couldn't really remember whether it, because I'm sort of sure you said you wasn't actually that tired. You just generally thought he wasn't there. So can you relay that story? Because it's quite a good one. And how hot Texas used to be.
Tommy, that one still stings me. 50 grand down the tubes on that one. 50 grand down the tubes, and my first ever pro win. So we're in Texas, Freestone National, rookie year. Fucking Tommy was nowhere to be seen that day.
I think I was hurt, but yeah.
Yeah, he was hurt. But anyways, I first moto rode really well. I got third. Tomac won, but he blew himself out first moto. He might have got second, first or second. He overheated, and honestly, that day ruined his whole summer. Like, he never really got recovered from that. But anyways, second moto comes around, same thing. I ate like a horse as much as I could in between. Come out second moto, I'm gone. Like, rookie year, there's no one behind me. I don't see anyone. I'm just like standing on the pegs, going good, get the white flag. I cannot blame my mechanic on this, but I also blame how dumb I am as well. He writes 5.6 seconds on the board. I never seen the point. I felt good, but 56-second lead is a bit too good. I'm not kidding. The whole race, I never seen one person. Like, even when I would come out a corner in a section, I never seen anyone. So I was like, 56 seconds, they're dropping off. It was 110 degrees, hottest race of the year. It's in Texas. And anyways, I see Rattray start coming up, and I was quite friendly with Tyler. Coming up, he was really good to me. I see him coming, and I thought he was a lap down and trying to catch up. I get 2 corners from the finish. Man, it burns me just telling this story. I wave him by, right? He turns the next corner, the section before the finish line, there's a big tabletop. Hits the tabletop, fist pumps to the crowd. My heart just sinks. I just let him have the win. Not even knowing, I still had the overall win wrapped up. I'm sobbing going down the rollers. There's a long set of rollers right before the finish. I'm sobbing. My body collapses. Brock Heckle passes me up the finish line, and I go from first overall to and I cried for like a week. I won.
I can't believe I've never heard that story anywhere. That's fantastic.
Oh, man, it's 2010 Freestone National. Look it up on the tube. It's heartbreaking. I cried and I cried. And then I won. I think I won 2 rounds later. I don't think I won the next weekend, but the next weekend I won. I got my first overall at Budds Creek. But I was good in the heat. But yeah, 56-second lead. Just, I don't know what I was thinking there. But
that was nothing to do with the heat got to you. That was just literally a brain fart.
No. I mean, like, I remember trying to think of things like to not sound so dumb. Like, I never even really mentioned to people too much that I thought I had a 56-second lead because it sounded so dumb. And so I kind of went with the heat narrative, but I really wasn't that bad. I was just that dumb. That was $50,000 bonus. I lost first overall of my career, but here we are.
But it really, how hot that was in Texas was unbelievable. And people did literally just fall off the side of the track, go the wrong way around the track. I remember Metcalf one time, maybe Kennard. I think maybe Kennard won one year and then didn't even go on. Something happened in like the wash area. But that's probably one of the hottest races. I only done it the 1 year in 2009, and I'd never raced in heat like it.
RJ Hampshire is really good in the heat because he's a Florida boy. You know, like a lot of people go to the baker's factory and kind of can't handle the heat and the training in it. Sometimes it doesn't go well, but he can because he's a Florida boy. But I also had a good routine in the heat. So we had those garbage cans filled with ice and water, and it looked a bit silly being in it. But I would go in before the first moto, cool off, cool my body down, get my gear on, race the first moto. Right after the first moto, in the dunk tank, cool off, recover quick, eat, and then I would chill watch like the 450s, and then I'd go back out, dunk one more time, then get my gear on, and like my hair would still be wet when I'd go to the start line. And I don't know, I just had a good routine that worked really well and felt And it also like wakes you up too, you know, like going in that. It wasn't necessarily an ice bath because the ice was melted. It was very cold. And it just gives you that, wakes you up and like made me feel fresh. Moving on to the next question. When the 30-second cardboard goes up, what's in your mind? What's your thoughts? What you thinking? How you feeling? What's running through your mind, Tommy?
Tommy says, I'm going to flint and fuck this guy up next to us.
Yeah, I'm quite good at that, actually. No, I think Dean touched on it earlier, that I'm in the very same as him. You can be nervous, but when the 30-second ball goes up, everything sort of goes away instantly. And then I don't really have much thought at that point, just literally focused on the race. It all sort of goes out the window. And I don't think too much at that point at all. I think everything, just your conscious takes over almost. I've done it that many times before. Some people overthink in that situation. The younger riders, because they've been told you need to do this, you need to let the clutch out with 2 fingers, not 1. You need to have your foot on the front brake, you need to sit tall. All I worry about is just getting out the start as fast as I possibly can and do everything it takes to get to the first corner. And that's it, really. Almost all the thoughts go out your head at that point and you relax, which is weird because all the way up to that point, I get quite nervous. But then all of a sudden, instincts take over and I almost feel quite relaxed and look forward to the gate dropping.
What about you, Bill?
Yeah, I'm similar, to be fair. Like, especially at like an indoor super enduro, we have obviously start gate, 30-second board, like very similar to you guys. Like, I actually get a really dry mouth before the start. Like,
I've had that before too, but I've had really dry mouth, and I think that's when I get really bad anxiety. I get really bad dry mouth, like cotton mouth.
I fill my mouth with water when I leave my mechanic and just hold it in my mouth while I'm like getting prepped on the start line, and then swallow it like as the 30-second board's going up. But then again, yeah, like to me, like again, there's nerves, and I think nerves are actually quite a good thing to get you ready. But then once revs go up and you're looking at the gate, to me, nothing else is kind of in my mind other than go, which is, I think, is a hard thing to describe for someone that's never experienced it as well. Like, it's weird, like to say your body goes from having all these thoughts, you're worried about, I don't know, the track, worried about the overall, thinking about other riders, what they're going to do, like to think how your mind can change from having so much in it to nothing, just with literally like the noise and the vibration of some engine starting to rev. It's pretty mad.
Yeah.
It's a wild feeling. But again, yeah, I think it's everything out the window and it's time to go. And it's go time.
Shifting into like the mindset side of things. I mean, I'm pretty open and like I'm in a good mindset right now, especially at the Australia Supercross. Like, I'm quite confident. And when I'm confident, I'm way more relaxed and I'm not overly thinking, right? But I've been in situations coming back from injuries and just really bad experiences on the track, and where I've been in a really dark place in my head where if my bike didn't start on the line, I wouldn't even be mad if I just walked back to the pits, because like I would get really dark thoughts on the start line. Like, I had this period of time where like I actually went to a sports psychologist. Like, I was just trying to get rid of it. And I'd be on the start line just thinking all these bad thoughts, like getting hurt on the track, if my bike snaps a chain off the triple. Like, I'd be thinking the worst things, and I'm just in a dark place and not in the right mindset. And it's like, it felt like a dark cloud was over me. I was fighting it hard, and to like go out there and face it head on was hard. And I got over the hump, but I went through a pretty dark spot where I just had very dark negative thoughts. Sometimes that could be from having bike issues. You don't trust the bike, but I went through a real dark patch with stuff like that, and it wasn't fun. It sucked the joy and fun out of racing completely. And then once I got out of that funk, I was a lot better. But like, I don't know if you've ever experienced.
How
did you get out of it?
Man, well, I went to a sports psychologist, and I was like, they kind of they all have different techniques and stuff like that. One was like telling me to like look at something, focus on something on the start, like anywhere, make it as a big flat screen TV on the stadium, look at the corner of it and just focus on that, and then do your breathing techniques and stuff like that, or just do a routine. I don't know, I feel like I would have it for like 5 races, and then once I like got through, like, I don't know, I just pushed through it, honestly, and it wasn't fun. Like, to exactly pinpoint how I got through it, there wasn't like a magic switch for it. It was something I just had to face with head on. I just had big time fear of getting hurt. And man, I always remember Rhino helped me a lot with that because when I trained with Rhino, I told him like, when you're young, you know how it is when you're young, you don't even think about it, right? And then as you do get injured and then you do have bad experiences, bad crashes at the practice track, man, it starts to scar you and starts to wear on you. And you start becoming more hesitant. And, so Rhino was just like, dude, you can't live. He was really good when it came to that. And it made me feel better. He's like, you can't live your life in a glass cage. What's going to happen is going to happen. Like, just go out there, ride your best, and who cares? And I think the other thing was sometimes I cared too much on the start line. I cared too much how I was going to ride, how I was going to perform. I put pressure on myself, and it was just all these built up things, The more I just says to myself, here's the language, I said, fuck it. Who cares how I do? I'm just going to try to ride my best. Who cares what my boss thinks? And of course I cared, but in my head, I have to convince myself this is what, is going to make me perform at my best. And that's why even coming up through the, pro ranks and everything, a lot of people were always looked at me like I didn't care, or I didn't train, or I didn't focus. That was a way of me masking all the pressure and all that was me trying to be the best version of myself. Because if I'm a happy Dean and I'm a loose and relaxed, that's usually a really fast Dean. But if I'm really tense, like I'm overly focused, I'm too locked in, that just never worked for me. So that you got to do what works for you. Yeah, that was just something I went through. I went through a real dark patch of just being so scared of being injured and just bad thoughts. I literally think like I was kind of laughing at you about manifesting how you said like getting a bad start. Your trainer told you or whatever. But like I was almost manifesting these things in my head, like getting stretchered out and shit. And it was just bad. I'm like, why am I thinking this? I don't want to. But it was just like, fuck, it was hard to get through, but I got through it, and it's all mindset and positive thoughts,
I remember you obviously being friends anyway. I remember you talking to me about this, but I think you touched on quite a few good things. Like you nailed a lot in what you just said, because you've got your nerves and your worries, but they change throughout time as well. So when you're a kid, you're worried about not performing well. And then to get over that worries, I remember telling myself, like, no one cares. And this is true. No one cares as much as you care, right? So you have a bad race. No one really cares. Like the fans are like, oh yeah, Dean didn't do very good at the weekend. Off we go, carry on with his day. We care so much more about how we do than anyone else. So I used to tell myself that.
Not all writers, we do, but not all writers care like we do. Like they could have a bad weekend and be like, but
yeah, but the majority, like, yeah, right, that's what I mean. Level. The majority, you're at a top level because it's your whole career. Do you know?
Yeah.
How we do affects us. So if you can get to a point, but we also worry about what other people think, how we do. So I used to tell myself, like, look, no one cares how you do. You do your best. And as long as you do your best, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But I think worries change throughout the time. Like 1 minute you're worried that, okay, I'm not going to win. Another time you're worried that you might not be in the top 10 and that's really bad. Another time you might be worrying that you're not even going to qualify. And they change. Then you're worried about as you grow up and you get to like my point, I don't really worry about my result anymore because I'm in the British Championship, although it means a lot and I always want to do well. I'm at the point where the result isn't as important as if I was fighting for a contract when I was 23 years old. Then it was everything because my next 3 years and my whole life revolved around getting a contract. And now I worry more about getting hurt and I'm nervous about that. So I think that's just because now I have a family, I'm older, but I think that it shifts and different people worry about different things. Yeah. And that's also normal. I don't think you can really get rid of that as such. If you're nervous, nerves are a good thing at the same time because it means we care and it means that you put pressure on yourself. And I think those that are good in any sport perform well under pressure. It's the only way to be at the top of your game are people that can handle that. And you see that anyone who's at the top of their game can obviously perform under pressure. Would you say, Bill?
I think so. I think you got if you're under pressure, it's because you've done something or you're in a position where people either want to be or you've done something to, you're at a certain level where I feel like you have to see that the pressure is a good thing and it's because you're at a certain level or you're doing something or it's there for a reason. So obviously at times it can be difficult to get in that mindset, but it is important to try and keep it there. And I think going kind of back to what you said about not trying to tell yourself you don't care, I think it's more of that also comes with just confidence in knowing that, you know, distractions aside, if you can ride your bike to this level and you're happy with that and have confidence in yourself that you're going to do that and it'll be what will be. That's why I can have, like, you know, there's times when I've won a race, made quite a few mistakes and come in not happy, or there's times when I've maybe finished second but I've came back through the pack and had the best race ever, and I'm like, people are like terrified to come near us because I've just come second, but I'm like completely chill. Like, I'm really happy. Like, I couldn't have done much more. Like, got dealt a bad hand and got caught up in a crash at the start or whatever, and I'm satisfied. I think it's, to me anyway, it's all about kind of how I feel I've done, and if I think I've performed how I can do, then to me really the result isn't the biggest thing.
Yeah. I think what was hurting me back in my bad period was my brain was just spinning the whole time on the start line. You know, it's like I had the fear of getting hurt. The other thing, you know, I'm fighting for a contract for the next year. I have to perform. The other thing was, fuck, I've been getting arm pumped during the week. I don't want to pump up during the race. And I'm just thinking and thinking and thinking. And it's like, man, the best thing is just not to think, right? Like going to Oz, right? But like, I'm in such a good place right now, like at Oz Supercross. Like, I'm riding good. I'm on the start line. I'm focused. I'm not thinking of a million things. You know, I only think of one thing, and that's my start. And Tommy, you'd be very proud of me. I think I've made an improvement on my start. My starts were sick this weekend. And have you ever had bad thoughts in your head like that though, or no?
Yeah, I sometimes walk the track and just think, what if I fucking throttle stuck over this jump? I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Like Fox Hills, I walk the track and I'm just like, oh my God. But I tell you what I was going to say is, just to add to that, throughout my career, I've worried about, like I was saying, I've worried about different things, but also your goals change. So I remember when I was trying to fight for a win every week, I used to think, I wonder how people can be motivated that they know they're not going to win and they're just fighting for a top 10. And then as obviously my career was going on the downward spiral, then you're fighting for a top 10 and you're satisfied with that and you're doing everything you possibly can to get a top 10. And then you speak to other riders that may be at a club level, and their championship in their club level means as much to them as ours does to us.
That's what you were saying, is that no one cares as much as yourself at the end of the day. Like, everyone has their own
goals
to be there.
Yeah.
That's why as well, like, to me, if you're happy with how you've done, or you feel like you've executed how you wanted to, then to me the result is what it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. To add to that, sometimes the hardest times when you are under the weather and you have to switch on more, I find we perform better, or I do. I remember times when I come in a little bit injured.
Again, back to this weekend, like, I was obviously struggled a lot in the first race, and I got a few niggling injuries, and I was a bit off with my bike setup. And if you had told me that I would have been third in the second race, I would have been like, I wouldn't have said impossible, but I would have been very like, come on, like, grow up, like, get with it now. Like, I'm not stupid. But I also do still have, again, bit of belief and confidence in myself, whereas, like, I know it only takes a couple of things to turn everything around a lot. But so I was in a bit of a weird spot where I was like I'm very far away from where I want to be or where I feel like I should be here. But there's also that kind of very small bit of belief where something could still happen.
Yeah, I agree, because it's tough. Mind of a rider or like an athlete is so up and down, and a lot affects us. And even people think, well, how do you do it every week? But we still have things that creep into our mind, like Bill's 5-time world champion, Dean's AMA national champion, and been at the top, but we all sat here talking about what creeps into our minds, the same as it creeps into anyone else's. And I think it's so hard to do, is to stay positive. Like, coming into a weekend when you think your back's against the wall, you've struggled with arm pump in the week. There was one race at Canada Heights this year where I'd done something to my knee actually riding with Bill. Do you remember when we went out that day and I tweaked my knee at Fast Tracks in that corner? He was pressuring me.
When I pressured you for 15 minutes and you wondered what was happening.
Yeah, and then I tucked the front, which is probably one of the only mistakes I've made all year.
Yes.
You watched my knee just like hyperextend. And it wasn't bad on the day, but then what I do is it plays on my mind and I can literally make an injury that's nothing. 3 weeks later, I'm limping around because I've thought about it that much. And it's a problem now. Like, I really, really struggle And I wish I didn't. And I will think about it all day long. Like there's not a minute that goes by where I am not thinking about moving something that I've injured. And I really struggle with it.
It's quite funny when you kind of get a little injury and you're at home before the race. You're doing a little
rubbing
test.
it.
Yeah, you're doing a little test on it. You're like, I don't know if I can ride. I don't know if I can ride. Then you go out for practice and it doesn't even bother you that bad. You're like, I just did all that stressing for nothing.
Yeah. And then we get to the race and it was my first win I had of the year. Like I know it's different level to what you guys are in, but and then I just think, why have I worried so much? And I've literally drove myself nuts, like literally nuts. Like the tiniest crash, didn't even say anything to anyone, and it played on my mind for like 3 weeks, limping around, not wanting to put my leg out on the bike, tucking the front in the corners because I didn't want to put it out. So it hinders you so much. And then when the gate drops, all the thoughts go away because you're just focused on racing. But weeks prior to that, you're practicing and you can't focus on anything but what you're worried about. But then when the gate drops, all the worry goes away and you focus on your race. Yeah. So your mindset completely switches. It's pretty much when that 30-second ball goes up, all the worry, and you're zoned in. And I think that probably the good racers and at the top of their game. But I think, again, at any level, adrenaline takes over, doesn't it? And you don't have that when you're practicing or sat at home twisting your thumb or wiggling your knee.
But those are the most rewarding, I feel like, when the cards are against you, you're not having the best day, but you end up turning it around because good riders find a way, right? They always find a way. When you turn it around, you may not have won, but you freaking did better than you expected to, and you made it happen. Those are like, you drive away from the track like, man, like you're proud of yourself. You're like, I made the best of that. So those are always good feelings as well.
Well, Bill done that at Super Enduro. He blew his knee out, couldn't really walk, ACL torn, everything smashed, and then won. So it is pretty mad what you can do and your mind can do when you focus in.
It's mad what your mind can do, but to me what's even madder is what can make your mind switch and how the smallest things can make your mind switch as well. Like is like we're all so finicky and have so temperamental, let's say. Like we changed the map of my bike this weekend and I didn't even make it out the car park before the second race. And I could just, the note of the engine, I was like, my mind's in a better place. Like this, I said to Stan, before I even got to the start line, I was like, we're fine now. Like, this is fine. And it was literally from the note of the engine.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's just backward. And to most people, that's probably just going to be like, what are you on about? Like, you've gone from 11th to 3rd from how your engine sounds. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds it sounds ridiculous. I agree. But as soon as your mind's there, that's all it needs. The mental side of our sport is so much more important than anything else.
Any sport.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I think it's also a bit strange for ours because it is so physical and you do have to be at such a physically fit level. But just, I've known how injured I've been at times, and I've been like, I haven't rode for 6 months. I have zero fitness whatsoever. But if it feels right, like you'll still have a goal. Like I think the mind overpowers anything else to me.
I agree, but I also think, say like Olympic sports, imagine where the time difference are literally like point if running or sprinting or when the time that must be so. Their sports must be so mental as well.
Because the fine margins are even finer.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I've tied my shoelaces too tight because that might just make that 0.01 of a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can imagine it's easy to get yourself wrapped in your own head on such occasions like that,
So we wrap this up. That is episode 4 of Against the Rut. We hope you enjoyed it and you learned a little bit of how our minds work, of athletes. You might have thought that's really good, or you're just like me watching this and we're as messed up in the head as you are. So if you do have any questions...
Beautiful part. We're all messed up together.
Yeah, the problem is, and the thing is, we're all so similar. Like, whether you're going racing at club level or you're racing at the top, we all sort of have the same problems, the same issues.
It generally is as well, though. I think that's actually it will be interesting for people to realise that. Like, we get worried and stressed about the stupidest stuff as what, your local
what anyone else does.
Do.
No, I agree. If you've got any questions, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next episode. See you in a bit. Thank you very much.
See you guys. Cheers.
Bye.